Many applicants to business school might have actually studied business at undergrad. So, of course, the decision to return then to grad school and get your MBA when you're already filled with courses in finance and accounting and marketing will perhaps influence choices. We've also, I think, through CentreCourt shown how the MBA is an extraordinary opportunity to enrich your international experience. And I'm delighted to welcome Carly Gerlach, who is from the Imperial College Business School class of 2020. Carly, thank you very much for joining us at CentreCourt. You'd studied undergrad at Miami in Ohio with a focus on marketing. So as you then thought about an MBA at the next stage of your personal and professional development, why Europe and specifically why Imperial?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, I did do a business undergrad, so wasn't necessarily looking to take more finance courses or accounting courses. Of course, that's always a part of an MBA program. But I was really looking for a program that would help me elevate my personal development and help me become the type of leader that I really wanted to be. And there were two really big reasons that led me to Imperial. One was the international dynamic. So living abroad while I was doing the MBA, just the personal development that comes with living abroad at any point, being a part of international and diverse cohorts. So I was always surrounded by people from all over the globe. And I think that led me to being better at working in diverse teams and leading diverse teams. The 1-year program was huge just because, as I mentioned, I've taken the accounting courses before, I've taken finance. So really being able to kind of accelerate the program and go through it quicker. And then the sort of creative and innovation aspects of Imperial were really huge for me as well. I have done, some creative work, and so being able to take those creative mindsets and processes and bring them into a business setting was huge for me. And so Imperial's focus on innovation and entrepreneurship, combined with the international cohort, the 1-year program, living in London, there was really only one option.
Now, of course, at the front of the classroom, Imperial attracts wonderful professors, but the classmates themselves, you yourself had done a semester in Shanghai during your undergrad studies and then built this very successful career in business development, first with CEB, now Gartner, and then with Euromonitor. So how does these individuals arriving from all over the world to this wonderful campus that the school has right in the heart of London, how does that translate into the exchange in the classroom with all of these other individuals?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely makes for really interesting conversations in class as we're going across case studies. You have people from cultural backgrounds, professional backgrounds from sort of all across the board. And with that, everybody's bringing a really unique perspective to the classroom environment, to the conversations that we're having. And I think that's something that Imperial does really well, is fill the room with people from those diverse backgrounds, both culturally and professionally. And I think anytime I've worked on a team, it's been amazing just to be able to see those different perspectives flourish and help us sort of get further together as a team. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned at Imperial, is sort of embracing all of those differences that you have with each other, based on the different things that everybody's bringing to the table for an effective team.
So in this intensive year, you're developing business skill sets. We talked about accounting, strategy, finance, marketing, all of that core curriculum. But clubs and activities outside of the classroom already play a very important role. And I think that you were very involved in, was it the luxury brand, sort of the brand marketing club? What impact
Yeah,
does that then have?
FMCG. Yeah, FMCG Luxury Retail Careers Club. It's a mouthful, but yeah, I was president of that organization, which was a huge growth opportunity for me personally. I knew that my leadership development was one of the biggest things I wanted to learn on an MBA program. So being a part of a club and leading a club was a huge aspect of that for me. Leading a team of master's students, we had a committee. So being able to just lead a team, recruit a team, and then we put together a series of events across the year that were professional development events. So brought in speakers, panels, workshops across these 3 industries to help facilitate curiosities that students had about working in those industries. So it was a really, really fun, dynamic group to be a part of on campus.
Now, we talked earlier about having the V&A Museum, the Royal Albert Hall. There's the Natural History Museum, and of course, I've always wanted to go ice skating in front of the Science Museum, which is one of your classmates was a professional ice skater. That must have been quite a moment to see him on the ice. But as you reflect on the year, what have been some personal highlights for you?
Oh yeah, there's been a lot. I mean, there's the fun, being in South Kensington, being in London is absolutely amazing. Things like you mentioned, going to the museums in between classes, studying at the V&A cafe was kind of my go-to cafe nearby, to just study and write essays. I think one of the biggest highlights was there's a huge cornerstone experience at Imperial called Global Experience Week, and you go to a developing country and you use your MBA skills to consult sustainable startups in that market. Ours is scheduled for April, so it being 2020, ours was done from our living rooms. But even as we were doing that, we were working with a small organization in Zambia, consulting them as they worked to uplift rural communities, last mile communities in Africa. And there was one moment that we were all sitting there working on our final sort of presentation for it. And we just started listing off all the different things that we had used from our classes throughout the year. And the list kind of kept going and going. And we just all had this sort of moment of, we've learned a lot this year and we're able to use that in a real business setting. And we're able to use that to support this organization that's doing so much good in the world and putting so much positive impact out there into these rural communities. And I think for me, that was such a culminating moment. Of course, it would have been wonderful to be in Zambia and not, in our living room over Zoom, but it was such a culminating moment of everything that we had learned and realizing how far we've come over the year and the impact that we can make in our careers and with these skills moving forward. That was probably one of my biggest highlights was kind of that moment.
I can imagine why. Hopefully, post-COVID, you'll get to do that last mile yourself and meet the community in Zambia. Now, whether it's supply chain or other aspects of business, Imperial, I guess, within the college itself, which is world-renowned for science and technology, how does that filter into the business school environment and how business and technology sit together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that's just innately ingrained with the school and the way that it operates. And I think it comes into play with certain experiences like the Enterprise Lab, which facilitates small startups on campus, EJ Journey, Entrepreneurial Journey. So all of the ways that they sort of bring in this startup mindset, these startup ideals, and these innovative ideas, and how to bring innovation and sort of new ways of thinking into an organization, whether you want to go into a startup or into a large corporation. We spent a lot of time sort of discussing what that looks like in both of those scenarios. So from, semester-long class in design thinking, where we solved really complex and challenging problems out in the world, to Innovation Week, where we were tackling, business model innovation, and then to, Entrepreneurial Journey, working with startups. I was part of MBA Connect, where we brought business sort of acumen and coaching to startups across campus. So it's really ingrained in the university, in the school. It is a part of everything that we do, and it's sort of a mindset that you kind of walk away with is sort of always thinking forward.
And whether it's FMCGs and Fortune 500s or those startups, how does the school then help you in developing your next career steps? What comes next for you?
Yeah, so we are matched up with a career counselor very early on in the MBA, and they help you on your personal career journey. So the skills that you're looking to develop the jobs that you're looking to go into, the networks you're looking to tap into, they're a great sounding board for kind of figuring that out, navigating in London, because you are in central London, you have access to those industries in the city. And really helping you develop yourself and prepare you for your next step in your career. So that's been an unbelievable kind of personal growth, and it's helped me be ready for the next step that I'm going on. I'm in some interview processes right now, so we'll see what that next step ends up being. But I do feel that I'm able to step into it with a really strategic mindset. I know who I am. I know how I work because of a lot of those conversations I've had throughout the year at Imperial.
Well, good luck with those next steps. The school featured in the Financial Times a week ago, talking about record application volume. The idea of studying at one of Europe's top business schools, 1 year in London, obviously appeals to people from all around the world. I can see why from what you're describing. What would your advice be to future applicants to Imperial's MBA?
Yeah, I think MBA applications, they ask a lot of you. It's an intensive process, and they're going to ask a lot of really introspective questions. And I think take those moments to heart, those moments of why am I doing an MBA? Why is this school important, an important aspect on my journey? And not only is that a really important thing to do for the application, but I think having the answers to those questions, knowing your purpose, knowing your why, also sets you up for success when you step onto campus on day one, because it helps set your direction for the year. It's a crazy year. It's overwhelming. There's a lot going on. And knowing sort of your true north and what you're there to discover and why you are on the campus in South Kensington is a huge base to have when you start navigating this year. So I think take those questions really seriously, really take the time to reflect on your answers and what it means to you. It's not only for the application, but I think it's almost your first exercise in your MBA journey.
Right. It's actually a rare opportunity. I know people are apprehensive, these are very selective schools, but it's a rare opportunity to step back and really think about both your background, your passions, that future trajectory of your career, and at a very personal level. So it's actually something to sort of embrace and enjoy, no?
Absolutely. I remember when I was applying, I spoke to one of my friends. I was like, even if I don't get into a school, this has been an unbelievable exercise just filling out these applications. Hopefully everybody listening to this will get into their dream school. But yeah, it's a privilege to be able to take a step back and reflect on what your goals are and where you are and what you kind of need to do to bridge the gap there.
Great. Well, Carly, thank you very much for taking the time to join us at CentreCourt, and those encouraging words to the many viewers that themselves are putting together their own applications and business school plans. I hope they can be as successful as you have been. But it was great to hear your story and have you join us at CentreCourt.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Good luck to everyone.